Hi, I'm Donna from the Bartram Trail branch of the St. Johns County Public Library System. And today I have with me Andrew Letter from the Florida Fish and Wildlife Research Institute. He is a wildlife biologist, and I see Andrew has brought his friend, and I brought my friend to play too. Hi, Andrew. Who do you have today?
Hey, Donna. So this is Toothless, a juvenile American alligator.
Well, he is very handsome. How old is he?
So he's about 1.5 years old, and we've been using him for outreach since he was hatched in September. So we collected him. And
did you hatch him there?
so we did not hatch him with us. We actually were able to collect him for use as an outreach animal.
Oh, that's really neat. So you caught him from the wild.
Yes.
So Andrew, how long will it take that little man to become a full-grown, mature alligator?
So males take about 8 to 12 years to reach maturity, and that is 7 foot. And then for females, they take about 10 to 15 years to reach maturity.
Do they reach maturity more quickly if they're in captivity than if they're in the wild?
So they do. So in captivity, oh, you just heard them call?
Yes.
So in captivity, they can actually grow really quickly. Alligator farms, an alligator that would usually take 3 to 4 years in the wild to get to 4 foot will take about 18 months. So it's reduced drastically.
That they're well fed in captivity?
Well fed, and then there's no predators, so they don't have to the conditions are better for growing.
Okay. I read today that an alligator has 36 to 46 eggs to a nest, and that the female alligator builds like a big pile of debris and things and puts her eggs there in order for them to incubate. Does a female alligator mother her eggs or her baby alligators?
Does she mother them?
Yes.
So she does stay near the nest to protect it from predators such as raccoons, feral hogs, and other animals that live on land. And then once the alligators hatch, she'll escort them to the water, and then they usually stay around the mother for about 1 year after they hatch.
Well, that's interesting. I read today that out of a clutch of alligators that hatch, only about 5 live to maturity.
So that is true. So
once they've hatched and they're in the, I guess, swamp, what eats them?
So the number one predator is other alligators. They are cannibalistic and they do eat each other, but the other, so that's when they're smaller. And then the other predators is otters, raccoons, herons, so birds of prey will eat alligators. But then once they get to adulthood, there isn't much else that does eat them or are a threat to them other than they are considered harvestable and for the hunt, the annual hunt.
I have friends who have hunted alligators. I don't think it's a sport for me, but I've seen alligator hides after they've been cured, and I love the little scutes. I'm not sure why. They just seem like cool little pieces of bone, and we pass them out when we do alligator programs here to the children because they are also fascinated by the scutes. Yes.
So I actually have one. So this is an osteoderm, which is like a modified scute. And if you look at his, I need a flashlight, or let me redirect my lamp a little bit. So if you look at his back, you can see each of those little squares will one day be this large. So you can see this is from an adult alligator, but the osteoderms, they're kind of like mini solar panels. So they have a lot of veins that pump blood through them. And the sun, when they're basking, gets heated up and it heats up the blood, and then it sends it to the rest of the body and allows them to digest food and their metabolism and everything to function.
That is really interesting. I did a lot of reading today in preparation for this talk, and I was very interested to find out that alligators are more closely related to birds than reptiles. Is that true?
It is. They actually have a 4-chambered heart, which is similar to mammals and to birds.
What is the most important thing for us as residents of Florida to know about alligators as we live so close to water and spend so much time outdoors?
So for anywhere in Florida that has a body of water, you can find alligators. So it's helpful to, one, always be on the lookout and not swim in areas that you're not sure if there's an alligator there or not. So swim in designated swimming areas, don't swim at nighttime, and then always be on the lookout for them.
I was told to stay away from the water at dusk and dawn my entire childhood, and then not to take my dog close to the water because alligators think they're hors d'oeuvres.
That could be a chance. It's definitely helpful to keep your pet away from the water and just be observant. Make sure that you aren't putting them in harm's way.
I've been to Ravine Gardens State Park. I don't know if you're familiar, but they have signs everywhere that there's water to stay back, just in case.
So I haven't been there, but I've been to many other state parks and national parks in Florida, and they all do tell you to keep away from the water. And it's known for, at least for Floridians, that he's kind of jumpy. He doesn't like to stay still. But you do want to be cognizant about where you are when you're on the water. And that's something you learn whenever you are out in the field doing your work. And
well, here in St. Johns County, we have a great resource for people to learn about alligators, and it's the St. Augustine Alligator Farm. And I don't know if you've been there, but I have been there many times. And let me see if I can screen share my website for that. See it now. This is a really fun place to go, and it's safe to see alligators up close here, because it's really not safe to approach alligators in the wild. And by in the wild, I mean even in your neighborhood. If you see an alligator, don't approach it. Isn't that right, Andrew?
so it's best not to approach it and admire it from a distance. And that's with a lot of wildlife, including alligators, snakes. Like let the either biologists or people that are licensed and permitted to work with them handle them.
I agree. I think that's really a great idea. I also wanted to share, you sent me a lot of great websites to do research on this, and I spent a lot of time today looking at some of your information. Here is one of your, I believe this is a Facebook post, and I guess you can friend the Florida Fish and Wildlife Research Institute, because that's what it says up here. And then you can see all of their videos, and they're really pretty cool. Great. I think that he looks really fascinating, and I love those colors. I know he doesn't keep those markings for very long, But when they're little, they look much more like dinosaurs when they have that coloring. I guess I'm a Jurassic Park girl. Because when they're grown, they're just kind of a dun color. And sometimes they're the color of the environment they're in, but they don't have those cool stripes anymore after they grow up.
Yeah, so the stripes help them to blend into the habitat and be less likely to be seen by predators. And then as they grow older, they have just like that jet black or grayish color, and they're the formidable force. They don't need to hide as much from predators, so they do just outgrow it. So
we did an outreach here where they put an armadillo in one corner of the room and a worm in the other corner, and they put the armadillo down and he went straight for that worm. Animals are amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get back on track so we can finish this up. You're so well trained.
I'm not catching salmonella or something else. Anytime you work with an animal, wash your hands.
That's really good advice. I'm not going to wash my hands after touching this guy because he's a pretend alligator, but he's the best I could come up with today. So I've really enjoyed talking with you. If you have anything else you'd like to share, I'd love to hear it.
So this photo, I do know the size of. He was roughly about probably 3 foot, 3.5 foot, but he was a smaller gator. And I really enjoyed how you could see just his head and his eyes. So his eyes and then the nose are sticking out of the water. But then the rest of the body is just submerged, barely underneath the surface. And that goes to show how whenever you see an alligator in the water and you might only see its head, the majority of its body is hidden underneath the water. So it's kind of deceiving on how big they are.
I like the stripes on his tail. That tells me he's younger.
Yes. So this is a photo that I got from our collection of outreach photos, but this shows alligator nesting. So this is a nest that they were either doing research on or collecting eggs for, and they mark the top of the eggs so that way they don't get rotated, because when alligator eggs are laid, they have to be facing a certain direction. So the top has to always be the top. If you flip it over, it'll actually kill the egg. So it's important whenever you are doing research with nests to make sure they always stay upright.
That's interesting. I've never heard that.
So I actually have, these are some eggs that did not successfully hatch, but you can see the red like pencil mark on top is to make sure that it was staying in an upright orientation so it didn't get turned over.
Can you put that on the flat of your hand and hold it up to the camera? Just, it kind of gives me an idea of the size of the egg.
There.
Thank you. That's really cool.
A mother alligator with about, if you count, there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 that you can see in the photo, hatchlings. And these hatchlings stick with the mother for about a year after they hatch. She lays about 35 to 46 eggs, and of those eggs, only about 5 will end up surviving till adulthood, which is maturity at about 7 foot. In this photo, it's another one of the mother alligator and her offspring. And what's interesting is you can only see the eyes of the mother, and the back, this is about 7 foot female gator that was submerged under the water. And when I was hiking and saw her, I first saw the offspring, and I was looking at them because you can see the yellow bands, and in grassier habitats, it helps them blend in. Here, it made them stand out with the gray background of the mud. But if you notice, the female blends in very well with that darker coloration, and she blends in and is able to protect her young. Here's another photo of the mother and her offspring. Here's another alligator that is nestled underneath the vegetation with just his eyes and his snout. This is the last photo, and this comes from the USGS, but it gives a map of the range of American alligators. So they actually range from southeastern Texas all the way throughout the southeastern US into Florida. So all of Florida has alligators, and then they extend northwards up into North Carolina, so the southern portions of it, which is kind of neat. It's kind of along the coast, the eastern coast of the United States.
Well, I really appreciate your time. I appreciate your photos.
Please like, share, and comment. Thank you for watching.